Good afternoon and welcome to our second part in the Changemaker live learning series, where today we're talking all about creating the perfect project page. My name is Sammy Morger. I'm Head of Coaching and Project Innovation here at Crowdfunder, and I'm broadcasting live today from Crowdfunder HQ in Newquay. We're also super lucky to be joined by Fraser today from Cycling Without Age in Falkirk. And Fraser's going to be talking to us a little bit throughout the session today about his experience of crowdfunding and hopefully passing on some great advice to you guys as well. So I'm actually going to start by handing over to Fraser really quickly. Fraser, can you tell us a little bit about what you were looking to achieve with Crowdfunder?
Yeah, so we launched our crowdfunding campaign at the same time as we just released a video. So the video would come out through BBC Three. It got a lot of viral interest, and we're getting a lot of people getting in touch about our project. And to begin with, a lot of people saw the project as it was and thought that looks really nice, and didn't really see the potential for it to grow. So that's why we launched the crowdfunding campaign, to show people that this is what's going on already. Let's make it even bigger. And that was like the main message we're able to get across through crowdfunding.
Awesome. And for anyone who doesn't know what kind of Cycling Without Age is, how it all works, what's it all about?
So it's a project run by volunteers. Basically, the volunteers go to primarily care homes and take the residents out for cycle rides on these specially designed bikes. So the crowdfunding campaign was to raise more money for the bikes. They're a bit like rickshaws, but they're back to front. And you can only get them from Denmark, so we need to raise money for them.
Awesome, cool. In the last session, for those of you who tuned in, we were focusing very much on the planning stages of creating a crowdfunding project. Today, as I mentioned earlier, is very much about the creation of that perfect project page. And then in the next session, if you tune in, we're going to be focusing in much more detail on running a project. So all the communication and how you get momentum going with your own project. So first of all, I will mention that there is tons of advice in these downloadable guides that we have. So if you're looking for a handy guide that you can use from start to finish that tells you all about what you need to do to crowdfund, this is absolutely your first port of call. You can find those on the Crowdfunder website. They're also a link underneath this video where you can download them from there. And as I say, it's broken down into 3 parts. One for each of these 3 online sessions that we're doing. So do make sure that you've had a look at those as well. And in the start of those guides, we have a few examples of projects that we think are really good for you to have a look at. And that is absolutely one of the most useful things that you can do when you're thinking about crowdfunding. That's have a look at what other people have done, which is exactly why we've got Fraser here today to pass on his experiences as well. Learning by looking at what people have done. What do you like? What don't you like? Maybe what would you have done differently? And as I say, there's some really great examples on there. So Fraser, from your experience, what do you think is the most important thing to think about when you're creating a project page on Crowdfunder?
I think it's been really clear about what the messages you're trying to get across. So I think when we first put our page up, there was far too much kind of story about it all, and it was really unclear for people coming on, hang on, what do I need to do here? Because for us, for instance, we were getting a lot of donations from people outside of Falkirk where we run the project. So for them who wanted to pledge, it was really about being really quick and understanding. So we broke things down a lot. So it wasn't just a whole kind of page of text. It was more about the quick, identifiable things. So what is it? What do we need? And like, how can you help? And I think that helped people really kind of steer them towards making pledges if they were going to do that.
Awesome. Okay. Thinking a little bit more about Fraser's page. Bear with me, I'm just going to load that up. What we're going to look at now is about how you told your story, just to put you on the spot a little bit there. So we're going to go through some of the text on the project page itself that I've picked out. And what I've actually done is, again, pulled out some of that text and highlighted the bits that really struck a chord with me. So we're looking here at the 3 questions that we talk about in that Crowdfunder guide that we mentioned just a moment ago. We're going to look at how Fraser's project answered those 3 questions. So first of all, what are you trying to achieve? And this is exactly what Fraser was talking about just a moment ago, about getting it across really quickly and really clearly what this project is all about. And I think actually that first paragraph does that so well. This is what they're trying to achieve, you know, bringing the project to more care homes across Scotland. It's actually that simple. It's very simple what it is they're trying to do. And they answer the question on how they're going to do that, you know, what it is that they need this funding for. They need more trishaws. They need the funding for. Now, looking at the next question, what makes your project great? Now, we can swap that word great for lots of other words. What it is that you're doing, what makes it interesting, what makes it exciting, what makes it revolutionary or innovative. Why should people care is essentially the question that we're asking here. And actually what they tackled really well on the project page is this, you know, why is this something that we think is important? And again, I've picked out what really jumped out to me, and that's giving those older people the freedom to get outdoors. I think that's something that, you know, we can all relate to. And also, you know, that they can feel like a part of society again. I think that's, you really feel an emotional connection and just sort of hearing that, how they do it. And I really loved this bit down at the bottom, build relationships across generations. I think that's amazing. And that's something which perhaps we don't see so much of in kind of the mainstream or in our day-to-day lives, particularly with, you know, people outside of our own families. But actually, I think that starts a really great conversation, maybe internally and actually with other people, about why is that important, and actually this being a vehicle for us to do that. Finally, and this is the bit that, believe it or not, people leave out of their crowdfunder projects all the time, is who you are and what your experience is. It's quite easy to sort of forget that a lot of people maybe looking at your project don't know you, don't already know about what you're doing. It's very easy to jump to that assumption. But the reason why is really, there's two key reasons. First of all, it really helps to build credibility. So to show people that you know what you're doing and you're the right people for the job and that you're going to deliver on what you said that you were going to do. And I think that's what they do really well in this first section here, talking about being a voluntary community group, but actually they're part of a global initiative, and giving some of those numbers about, you know, the number of care homes in across 30 countries really helps with that legitimacy and that credibility and saying, you know, we're the real deal. And then the bit from Fraser down there about, you know, who he is personally really adds that personality to the page. So it's not just this big giant organisation. Actually, it's Fraser in his bedroom as well, living in Falkirk, you know, having lived there his whole life. So there's very much a person and a personality behind the project as well. So hopefully what these slides have shown us is that visual texture is also really important. There's a reason why they were very text heavy, those last 3 slides, is to kind of drill home the importance of actually using things other than text as well. So for those of you that kind of got lost in all of that text, that was absolutely on purpose. So do make sure that you're including images of what you're doing, that you're getting some testimonials from people who are involved or have benefited from your project. Do use headings to break it up so it's much easier to read. And infographics are always welcome, whether that's a pie chart or just something really simple which shows numbers, if that's relevant to your project in a slightly more interesting way. So Fraser, for your project, other than the written text, what else did you include on the page to make sure it was engaging?
So initially we just had a kind of generic video which was up there, and while it was great because it showed the project, it didn't really kind of communicate the message as well. So what we really wanted to have was, we made up our own video at the top of the page which basically told you what the page told you. So if people didn't want to read all the text, you could then get the same story from the video, and then it was that video was in a really good marketing tool off of the crowdfunding page. We used that a lot on our social media channels to direct people to the page, and that worked really well as well. So the video was really just about, I think it was a kind of update video, so it said how much we'd raised so far and kind of where we wanted to go next and why we needed the more money. And then kind of throughout the page as well, we just had kind of some pictures of, you know, the kind of logo of the organisation and different people that have been out on the bike, and we even had some of the testimonials. Obviously not, and that was kind of from the service users as it was, for people that have been out on the bike before and what they thought of it and why it's important to them and why people should consider donating to be part of it.
Mm-hmm. And your images are actually really bright and colourful, and we have that kind of combination, as you know, we can see there on the page of kind of showing the crowd and the I guess the community that we see on kind of that image at the bottom right hand corner. But we also see again those personal faces, the individuals themselves. Who are being affected, and that combination of scale but also taking it right back down to the individual is what we find really resonates and really works so well. So we're going to look at rewards now, just for a moment. I will say at this stage that rewards are absolutely not essential on Crowdfunder. You can set up a crowdfunding project with donations only, but we do find projects that have rewards. We tend to find that it's a really great way of increasing that engagement that that will be supporting your project, and actually the average pledge amount can sometimes go up as well. So looking at these sort of 4 main types of rewards, we always see new things we've never seen before on Crowdfunder pretty much every day, and so this absolutely is not an exhaustive list, but we're going to look at a couple of examples now from each of these 4 groups. So first of all, products and services. This is kind of the obvious one, what a lot of people think of when we talk about rewards. And really we want it to be something worthwhile, something which is of benefit to the person who's going to receive it, something which is good value for money, perhaps even something which is exclusive, which they can't get anywhere else, something that's a little bit different. So we can see here, you know, it could be the actual product that maybe your organisation, your social enterprise makes itself. It could be something which maybe has been contributed from a partner or someone that they're working with. But as you can see from these examples, it's important, as I say, that they're good value for money and they're something which people will look forward to receiving. Next up is experiences and events, and this is actually my favourite category for rewards. It's probably the ones that I pledge on the most. I really love to go places and do different things that I probably wouldn't ordinarily be doing or even know about if it weren't for the fact that they were crowdfunding. So this can be something completely out of the norm. So it could be a launch party for something that you're doing. It could be a chance to go behind the scenes and find out about something or see the inner workings of an organisation. It could even be something like a ticket to an event or something that you're putting on already, something that you're already doing. Sponsorship, of course, is a really great one, and this could be for corporate sponsorship or just for individuals. And we've got 2 sort of contrasting examples here. We've got one from Fraser's project, where for £6,000 you could actually sponsor the Trishaw itself. And I do know that there was one person or one individual organisation who actually took that reward up. On the other side of things, we see this, you know, £10 sponsorship, where you could sponsor, you know, a flag on a string of flags for a project actually at Shambhala Festival. So it can go right across from one side to the other. It doesn't need to be just corporate sponsorship, for example, completely depending on what you're doing. And of course, the good old thank you. And we see people get very creative with how you can acknowledge that support from backers and how you can thank them. It could be something as simple as a handwritten letter or a postcard or even just a tweet or an email. It could be something much more creative, like, for example, getting the chance to name a beaver. And you actually get an entry as a little thank you for supporting the project, actually releasing some beavers into the wild in Cornwall. So you can be creative with it. And I will mention again that Just Donate box will appear on every single project across the Crowdfunder platform. So even if you have added rewards, people will still have the option to just donate if they'd like to. So Fraser, I'm going to come back to you now for the big question that everyone's waiting to hear about. What is your one top piece of advice for someone who's starting their project on Crowdfunder now?
One top piece of advice. I think it's being realistic of what you need, and then how you communicate that. So I think, you know, if you've just put a crowdfunding up because you want some money, it'll become quickly clear when you're trying to sell it, because some people will get in touch. I mean, there are people can comment on the crowdfunder. I actually think you can actually get private messages through it as well. And if people start to ask more questions and you don't really have a complete understanding of why you're doing it, then I think, you know, they'll find you out as it is. So I think it's been really, really clear on what the whole project is, and then why you need the money, and helping, I think as well, the people that are pledging on it, making them really feel part of that. So that's, you know, through the idea of, you know, rewards, or even it's just kind of regular updates about the crowdfunding campaign, and also like directing people to your social media to show, you know, here's what you're helping to contribute towards. Because one of the biggest things we say for Cycling Without Age anyway is that it's really the people that make it happen, be that people that are donating their time to volunteer, or people that are donating for trishaws for the crowdfunding campaigns. So it's really just to kind of help people really feel part of it. Maybe in our instance, we didn't have any rewards or anything, but it was really the reward in itself was people being able to see kind of the difference that we're making.
Absolutely. I think that's really excellent advice as well. So thanks so much for sharing that. So for those of you who are thinking own crowdfunding campaigns, there is 3 things which I would absolutely recommend that you do before our next online learning session. The first one is to start drafting your project description, and it can seem quite daunting, and you'll definitely have more than one draft, exactly as Fraser said that they did when they were working on their project, but that's fine. Just start having a go, just start writing some stuff, and there is a template in that guide that we mentioned earlier that you can use to work through, making sure that you're getting all your key points in there. Have a brainstorm of reward ideas. Think about maybe some different things that you could offer, maybe at different price points, and how that might be relevant to the people you've identified in your crowd and your network map from our first session. And do have a go at calculating your target. That isn't something that we've really touched on at all in this live session today, but it's something that there's quite a lot of information and detail on in the pack that I've mentioned earlier. So do make sure that you download that and have a read of some of the advice about working out what is going to be the right target for your project. Now, if you have any questions at all, or you need a hand with anything as you're going along, you can get in touch with us at support@crowdfunder.co.uk. I promise we're very friendly, we're real people, and we are more than happy to help you out with anything that you're getting stuck with. So our next session is going to be at 5 p.m. again, and that's going to be on Thursday, the 12th of October. That's in a couple of weeks' time. So do make sure you come along to that, or of course you can watch it back on catch up. Particularly if you're looking for advice around launch strategy, communicating with your crowd in the most effective way, and we're actually going to be spending a little bit of time talking about how you can really make the most of Facebook, which is absolutely one of the biggest drivers of support on Crowdfunder. I'll see you all next time. Thanks again so much to Fraser for joining us. It's been some really excellent advice there, and I'll see you all again. Thank you. Bye.